inviting your AI note takers. I just have to state it here that this call is being recorded. This call is now being recorded. So it's okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Praise from EduBridge Academy, and on behalf of the Academy, I want to welcome you all to today's webinar titled Standing Out Without Connections, How to Get a Job When You Don't Know Anybody. So we are excited to have you here. And before we get started, I would love for this to be an interactive session. So feel free to ask your questions in the chat box if you can't, if you are occupied. And if you want to go ahead, you can just raise up your hands and your questions will be addressed. Okay, so without taking too much of our time, I would love to introduce our speaker. Right, so our speaker today is someone who has built a career across finance, strategy, and business leadership. She is also passionate about helping young professionals navigate their careers. Through her work and mentorship, she has seen firsthand what helps candidates to stand out. Right, so she has worked with and guided aspiring professionals. She has also served as a financial analysis facilitator and business pitch judge at our academy, at EduBridge Academy. She has volunteered with EduAid Global Initiative, and she has also been a television presenter on Plus TV Africa. So her experiences have given her such a unique perspective on what it really takes to create opportunities and stand out when you don't have anyone or when you don't have an existing network. So today she will practically be sharing with us our personal experiences and other actions that we may take to stand out and build unique connections and position ourselves for career opportunities. So ladies and gentlemen, with a warm virtual applause, their reactions there. Please welcome our speaker, Ruth Mbanali. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Collins. Thank you, Oliver. Thank you, Bolu. So hi, Ruth. Over to you, Ruth.
Hi, thank you so much, Praise. It's been an amazing journey. And hello, everybody. Good morning to you. I hope you're all doing well, and thanks for the warm reception. Okay, Praise, if you are ready, I'm ready. Okay, so yeah, I can see your screen. Perfect. Okay, so I'll try. We did prepare some slides, but I'd also try to make it less focus on slides and more on a conversation. I would also, and like as Praise mentioned, I would appreciate if you're able to make this an interactive and a fun session for us. I think we have the next 55 minutes together, and just to reiterate, I would like to use the remaining half of the time for questions. I'm sure you all have different questions, so feel free to unmute yourself when it's time to ask your questions. And if you are at a place where you can't, also drop in your message, and Praise would be monitoring the chat box for any question. Okay, so a bit about myself. I am currently an investment banking associate in one of the top investment banking firms in the world. And how did I get here? I think that's usually the question. So I had started out my career. So you can move to the next slide, please. I had started out my career. I went to UNILAG, first of all, and I studied economics. I finished the first class. I went through the accounting degree program certification, which is the ACCA exams. I got certified, and in the midst of all of that, I think one theme that everyone would see there is, oh, she's smart, she's hardworking. But yeah, I don't think it's limited to that. I think anybody can do this, actually. But my journey actually began with me at least trying to put in the effort to ensure that I became academically sound and strong enough to give myself, to have a room to speak. Next slide, please. And so and also in addition to studying, I went through the entire program journey of, working through organizations that helped me. And so I think the focus of this conversation is how to be able to get into rooms even when we don't have connections. And part of it is for people like myself that had limited access, limited connections. I think education and hard work is usually the tools that we have at our disposal to ensure that we get a seat at the table. And so I knew that very early enough, and that was why I put in the effort to ensure that I went through and I got a good degree out of school, and also made sure that I got certified as well, knowing fully well that it was important in order for me to get access to the people that I wanted. And so learn, build, lead, create access. Those are the themes actually that I had to do. And so these are pictures of my journey right immediately after school and while I was in KPMG working. So next slide, please. Okay, so still a bit about myself. So my journey started out with Union Capital, and I worked with KPMG, and then I worked with Rex, and then I eventually went for my MBA program. In my MBA program, I managed an accelerator, and currently now I work with an investment bank right here in the US. So next slide, please. Okay, so now let's talk about career. How can you actually get to the same or achieve the same results as I currently have? And like I had mentioned at the beginning, first thing is ensuring that you are putting in the effort. And I know the topic today says standing out without connections. But the honest truth is that whilst your education will get you to the door, but your ability to manage people, network, have conversations, and interact and also bring value to the table is what would actually take you above. It's what will give you the promotion. The only job that I had in life without it being a referral or knowing someone, quote unquote, was my first job. And it was just because that was the CV space. And I'm not saying that you wouldn't have other opportunities where you'd apply. But what had happened for me in my journey is that after the first job where I was able to prove myself and prove my skill, it became easier. So every other job that I got from there up until before I came to the US, all was with based off on referrals from the people that I have worked with. So the first thing you also know is beyond the education, beyond getting the skill that education gives you, and beyond doing your professional exams and all of the things that they say we need to do in order to secure a job, you also need to start working on your people skill. You also need to start working on your interpersonal skill. So there's no, I am an introvert, I don't want to talk to people, I'm just going to go to work and come back. It's might have worked 100 years ago. That strategy might have worked 100 years ago, but in today's age and time, that's no longer what it is. It's now a more global economy. It's now a more connected economy. The fact that we are talking together on, I'm here in a different part of the world, and some of you are in Nigeria, just shows you how the world has changed from the way it was in our parents' time. So while we accept our parents' advice of go to school, work hard, but it doesn't end there. You also have to do your work, add value to your work, and also have conversations with people. Get to know your colleagues, get to know your classmates, get to know the people that you're working with at different points in time, and don't just, leave or end your work the way it is. So like I said, my first job was the only job that I just had to drop my CV and I got it. But every subsequent job that I got, I had to, it eventually came as a result of people had seen me work on this job before and they liked me and they were like, okay, I think you'll be a good person for this role. Sometimes you might not even want the role, but eventually, and if you talk to more people that have also grown in career, you realize that that's always the way it is. Eventually, the referrals come in very handy. Next slide, please. So what do you do today if you don't have a network and you're not getting callbacks and your CV is weak and you don't have an experience? And I guess that's the place where most people are right now. The first thing is, when you're in this situation, the default we typically would do is, oh, I'm just going to throw out my CV in there. That could work. And honestly, people say, oh, I've applied a lot and I didn't get a job. I've applied and I didn't get a job. I've had friends that in order to secure their one job, had to do like up to 100 applications. Some even did more than 100 applications to get that. So you really have to there's a lot of effort you need to do when you don't have that network. You must understand that when I don't have a network, I must put in more effort than someone that has a network. So first thing is, make sure you are on all the types of job sites. So Upwork, Fiverr, Jobberman, LinkedIn, get into people's DMs. Many people will not respond to your DM. Many people could include someone like me, but sometimes you just need that one yes from someone, and not just the one person that you think you need yes from. Sometimes it could be from an unlikely source. So you have to put yourself out there when you are recruiting. Whenever you're in a recruiting mode, you must know that one, there is no job that is too small. Two, there is nobody that I cannot reach out to. And three is, there is no effort that is too much. So you have to put in all of the efforts in order to get secure the opportunities that you want. And when you're not getting callbacks, it's important that you don't get phased out by it. It's just another day, basically. So you have to make sure that you dust yourself off the ground, wake up and go again. You have to keep going. I think and not just limited to Nigerian markets, across the world, even right here in the US, the job market has become a lot more competitive, especially with AI taking people's job and people being out of job faster than it used to be. So the job market has really become very competitive. So in order for you to get that job, you have to understand your environment and understand that you have to put in a lot of effort and be more resilient than you previously would have been in order to secure a job. If your CV is weak, I think the foundation is to ensure that your CV is better. You have to talk to people that know how to manage CV. I feel like most people underplay the impact of what their CV and resume would do, because that is actually what people see first. So there shouldn't be typos in your CVs. There shouldn't be confusion in your CV. There shouldn't be weird stuff in your CV. It's good to have hobbies in your CV, but please know where the limit is, right, with your hobbies in your CV. And also, you also have to know that preparing your resume or CV has to be tailored to the kind of role that you are applying to and the kind of environment that you're applying to. So before you put in for that job, reach out to someone that you know that works in that industry. It doesn't even have to be in that company, but reach out to someone that you know that works in that industry and ask them to take a first pass at your CV to see if it's also to give you an opportunity. I think I have to backtrack a bit here. What I've realized that most people fail to understand is that in order for you to secure that one job, there's a lot of stuff you have to do in the background at the beginning. So, and one of them is your resume. There is some organizations prefer a certain format. Some industries prefer to see more actions oriented than others. Some wants to see your skills. someone to see, and okay, let's even say you are straight out of school and you don't even have an experience. How should my resume look like? You know, what kind of stuff can I put, what kind of value add can I use to beef off my resume? Those are conversations you need to have before you even put in for the job. And it's best you have those conversations with people that have worked in that industry, or with a company like EduBridge, because they have that exposure. And so when you don't even have an experience still on when you don't have an experience, like I said, I think we underplay what our past experience could have been. Did you, when you were in university, what kind of things did you do on campus? Were you part of a group? What impact did you make on that group? You know, or what was your role in that group? Were you part of did you lead a team? Maybe you had a group assignment. Were you part of that, you know, team? Did you contribute to that team? Did you lead that team? You know, those are things that you could add to your resume to help improve your resume if you don't have an experience. Also, and if you're in school right now and you're not yet in the job market, this is the best time for you to start building out that resume. Join a club, participate, volunteer in stuff on campus, participate in events like this, attend institutions like EduBridge. You know, all of these things all of the work that you are doing would help build out your resume and prepare you for the job. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, and truly, you don't need to know everybody. I know I'm an introvert. I found out I was an introvert when I came to the US. But yes, I'm an introvert, and I didn't need to know everybody. I think what you need to understand is you need to know the right people. And sometimes the right people might just be being in a community like EduBridge, because a community like EduBridge, for instance, has access to people that have worked in different organizations. It's easy for you to reach out to them and say, hey, I'm looking for a job in this industry. Do you have any contacts? Right. So, and there could also be friends like this in your circle that have a vast network of people. Those people you can also reach out to. So you don't have to be the one that has all of the network. You just have to be plugged into a community or an environment, or have friends that have those network. And let's say you don't have friends that have those network and you don't have access to those network. The world is now digital. LinkedIn, Instagram has become a very amazing place for you to connect with people and meet people. So I don't think you are limited, especially in this age and time. And in terms of even with the types of jobs that you get access to, it all boils down to people want to recruit people that they know can do the job. They don't really care about every other shenanigans. Can you do the job? And do you have the capacity to do the job? That's really what matters. So what you need to do is ask yourself, how can I put myself before the right people? So, and like I said, LinkedIn is an amazing tool to do that when you're recruiting. Plus, please, when you're recruiting, why is your profile not active? I think, like, if you're in the market right now and your profile is dead or dormant, or you don't even have a proper LinkedIn profile, I think you need to start from there. Clean up your LinkedIn profile, update it for activities that you've done, so that recruiters can see you. And LinkedIn has this tool for you to be able to beef up your profile so that recruiters can see you. Maximize all the resources LinkedIn has to elevate your profile. And if you have the extra buck there, pay for premium to get yourself access to other things. But you don't have to pay for premium to do that. But if you do have the extra buck, pay for premium to do that. Okay. And I think something on this slide was very clear. Connections is not equals to access. That's another thing. I think, like, at the end of the day, it all boils down to everybody. When it comes to job is different from friendship. Job is different from paddy. You know, you have to understand that people are going to put their names on the line for every recommendation they make for you. So be ready to deliver. Be ready to be prepared to deliver. So it still goes back to ensuring that you've done your homework at the beginning. You shouldn't be applying to a job that you don't even know what they do. You don't even know anything about the company. You've not even read about the company. It doesn't make sense. So you have to do your homework all at the beginning before you put yourself out there. And sometimes you might only get one chance to apply to certain places. So make sure that you don't misuse those opportunities. Okay, next slide. Okay. The question here is, why does application disappear? I think the first on the list is that people don't tailor the applications for the job descriptions. A lot of companies, especially companies, when companies have when you're doing like large organizations, they have a filter, they have some tool that they're using to filter out resumes. So and some of these companies tend to, in their job advertisements, they tend to include the job description for the role that they are recruiting for. The good hack here is ensure that your resume captures some of those words and languages that they've used in their job description. Let's use an example. Let's say, for instance, you're recruiting for a finance role where they need someone that has an ERP knowledge, say maybe a SAP or Oracle type of ERP knowledge. You need to have that. If they had specifically indicated that in their job description, you need to have that in your resume, because if it's not in your resume, the likelihood of your resume not even being looked at all, even if you are qualified for the job, will be very low. So make sure you are looking through the resume description. Make sure you're looking through the job description and trying to compare it with your own resume to be sure that, at least if they are going to judge by just the job description, some of the language that they have used have been captured in yours. The AI or whatever tool that you're using will not filter you out. That's the first thing. Another thing that makes people's resume or application just falling under the pile would be typos. I think that's the biggest that's the biggest mistake that you must never make in your applications. So ensure that your resume is clean. Send it out to someone to do a look through. Give it to, sometimes even like, give it to someone that is senior or junior, and just ask them, do you even understand my resume? Does it even make sense to you? Just get a lot of feedback in that, for that. And also another thing then is, can you really prove, like, a lot of times if there is like a mismatch in your resume, it also makes it fall down. An example would be like, if for any reason, like, your resume is giving red flag of maybe like some lies that can be obvious in your resume. I think those kind of things, I'm sure no one on this call will be making that kind of mistake, but please, if you are, please go through it. And like I had said at the beginning, your resume is more like your profile. Also try to ensure that your resume sort of matches with what's on your LinkedIn, because these days everybody's going to LinkedIn to they're not just looking at your resume, they're also going to your LinkedIn to go and validate all the things that you have said. So please ensure that you're not lying across board. And if you want to lie with sense, basically. But I'm not encouraging you to lie, but please don't lie. Okay. Next slide. I think I've talked a lot about your resume, and also let's go to the next one as well. So yes, experience is proof, not years. So a lot of people, like I said at the beginning, so let's assume you've gone through the resume part. Now you are at the interview stage. You're about to have this conversation with people. Your ability to be able to describe with real tangible proof all the things that you have included in your resume is very important. So it's not just in the number of years. You could have you could have been in a particular role for many years, but have not experienced the full breadth of that role. That would not give you an opportunity, give you the right opportunities that you are looking for. So, and you could also be a student who, for some reason, have had opportunities to, maybe, let's use an example, you are running a social media, you're on the social media team for your club on campus, and now you're out of market, you're out of school and looking for a job. That's a very tangible experience that you can use, how you were able to grow your excuse me, grow your social media platform, your campus social media platform, from whatever number it is to, say, 100x, or you've been able to grow it significantly. That's a tangible experience that you can put on your resume. That's a tangible experience you can also describe in your interviews. So ensure to, I think, like, the art of interview is a very different conversation, but it's also part of this. So you have to have curated your stories well enough to be able to describe everything that you say you have done, and with tangible experience, tangible experience to back up your claims. Okay. So what do recruiters see first? Recruiters see clarity, evidence, trust, relevance, and they see confidence. Confidence is top on the list here. So confidence actually cuts across all of these four things on the list. So you want to appear confident before recruiters. And I think the best way to help yourself, if you've been a person that has struggled with that, the best way to help yourself is to prepare for it. Like, over prepare for it. Have people do mock interviews for you. And I would assure you that this is not just limited to the Nigerian market. It applies across board, regardless of, like, wherever you want to apply for a job globally. You have to put yourself out there and be more, and show that you're confident about the role. And then clarity, being able to, talk clearly, describe yourself. They're usually, like, I think it always begins with the initial questions. They're usually like initial questions, like, describe yourself. Like, if you don't even know how to describe yourself, you don't have an elevator pitch of how to describe yourself, that is something you need to start working on today. Or describe your role, or how can I be of value to this company. Those are things that you need to start working on. So every company or every industry has its own, regular kind of questions that they ask. You want to do a lot of research, script your responses, rehearse them, but don't over rehearse them, so you don't sound too over rehearsed. So you have to find a sweet balance, and be able to, so that you can sound clear and confident. And also, like I said, do a lot of mock interviews with people that you can trust. That would also give you solid feedback about your performance. Okay. So make the decision easier to defend. Like I said, make the conversation easier for recruiters. Be clear, have evidence, show trust. I think trust in this sense right now, it's the recruiter is it's no longer blind trust if you have an experience to prove it, if you have tangible stories to prove it. And sometimes you may even be able to drop names or drop real examples, so that they can also go and verify if you have something like that. But if you don't, please don't make those mistakes. And like I said, please don't lie on your CV. Don't lie in your interviews. The world has become very, very nimble, so everybody can easily validate stuff if they want to. Okay, next slide. So every job application has a stage: the position, the proof, show your workings, you apply, you have conversations, and then you follow up. I think the follow-up loop is the part most people tend to drop off in those conversations. After you've had your interviews, assuming the conversation went well, or even if it didn't go well, you want to send your recruiter a thank you or a follow-up message. Actually, a thank you message with a follow-up behind it. Thank you so much for, an example would be like this: hey, hi XYZ, thank you so much for this opportunity to interview with your firm. I had a great conversation. I enjoyed our interactions about XYZ. I'm looking forward to an opportunity to work with your team. Please let me know what the next steps would be. Thank you. And end with a great salutation, and that's it. And if you don't get to hear back from them in a few weeks' time, you want to also drop them another follow-up and stuff like that. Sometimes people appreciate those type of follow-ups, because a lot of people are not doing it, especially in the Nigerian market. That's not something that we are used to. So you want to be the change or make it look different, but also read the room and read the organization. But like I said, nobody would reject a thank you message as long as it's well crafted and doesn't look like you're being pushy or you're being desperate. Okay. So I think we've gone through the bit of all of this. Visibility, flywheel, blah, blah, blah. I think like we've gone through a bit of this, how you position yourself, how you talk about your visibility. And finally, I think, yes, let's dwell a little bit more on networking today. In today's age and time, whilst, yes, the conversation today is on ensuring that we have opportunities without a network, but it's sort of ironical, because you are recruiting, you're going to have conversations with people, and those people have networks and friends. So you want to from this very moment start building out your network. If you're in university, if you're in whatever opportunity, like start building out your network in the easiest possible way for you. Sometimes you may have to do it the difficult way, but in the easiest possible way for you. Join an association that is relevant to your industry, and then try as much as possible to interact with people, have conversations, build networks with people. Start off with LinkedIn, build networks with people that are in the industries that you are interested in. Be more targeted, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. So let's give ourselves a to-do task. So you'll have a 4 weeks sprint for a job. So first week, the position, choose the role, refine your resume to fit the role. That cannot be overemphasized. Identify projects that you have done, or examples or experiences or case studies. And this is your prep, basically, your prep. So identify those things that you have done in the past that fits into the role, right? And then connect with people, have thoughtful conversations with people. Sometimes you might not even be ready to start looking for a job. Say you're still in university, start having conversations with people, get to know them, talk to them about their jobs, get to understand what they do, how they do their jobs. And I know people might be a little bit very antsy about having those conversations with people. So I think the best places that you will find people in a more relaxed environment to have those chats is when they come on campus for, networking events or recruitment events on campus. If your school organizes that, that's a good place to start. Don't miss those type of events. And say you're in NYC, people are looking for those, opportunities. leverage every single network that opportunities that you have. And even like when they do, I think some companies do like host industry events that are free. Some of them are free actually. They host some industry events. Attend those type of events as to the best of your ability and start interacting and networking with people. That's the foundation, to be fair. And then apply for your job, and also send a follow-up. Send a thank you message and send a follow-up. Okay, so I think that's about it today. I know I've said a lot of stuff, and please feel free to ask your questions. Okay, thank you. Over to you, Praise.
Okay, hi everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so does anyone here have any question for Ruth? I know she must have said a lot, and probably while she was presenting. Okay, Bolu.
Yeah, hi Ruth. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry, we're taking your Saturday. Good
Happy to be
morning.
here.
So my question is around volunteering. Because there was one of the courses that we had in the analyst program where I asked students to always volunteer. And I don't think a lot of people understand how much of a big deal volunteering is. And why you hammered on it, but I really like more context as to how volunteering really helps to improve careers, especially in the finance world. Because there was time I was checking on LinkedIn, I couldn't really find uh, communities where people could just actually just go in and just jump into it and then just start volunteering for a couple of things without it being like a university-led program. And I may be wrong, like I'm searching the wrong place. Please don't crucify the messenger. But yeah, just more context as to how volunteering really helps to boost careers. Not maybe not just finance, but also in tech. I know that there's some tech guys in this call also, in general. So yeah.
Okay. Thanks so much for the question, Bolu. I think the response is very clear. First of all, when you volunteer, it's low stakes. You are able to make mistakes without being crucified or without getting so much real impact. That's the first thing on your career. So, and you're able to learn a lot from volunteering. And the funny thing is, like, I know people understand, like, there's also the thin line of where people don't want to be taken advantage of and stuff like that. But also at the same time, you must know that if you don't have a skill, you don't have an experience, you don't have network, you don't have all of these advantages, extra advantages as it were, what you have on what the easiest way for you to get your foot into the door is to volunteer. And you don't know where that is going to lead you to. Sometimes it can open you up to relationships that you never would have thought of. Sometimes it could give you skills that you never have thought of. But none of your volunteering experience is a waste, basically. I also would suggest that the best place, and I agree with you, but the best place for you to take up a volunteering opportunity is usually on campus. Because one, people have very low expectations for students. Very low expectations for students. So so they are willing to, and people are very more accommodating to students as well. So you are getting the best of everything, without the pressure of being in the work environment. And yes, you might not even get paid and stuff like that, but that's low stake. Think of it as an investment into your future, and your future self will thank you for it. I mean, personally, while I was doing my master's program, I led an accelerator on campus, and I can tell you that actually gave me so much access that being an ordinary student would never have granted me an access to. So, and I'm sure it's not just limited to, because it's not because I attended the school in the US. It's also acceptable in Nigeria. I attended the school in Nigeria as well. So I also volunteered on campus. So I did a lot of stuff there. And those are the things that gave me access. Sometimes the professor sees these things, sometimes they may not, and who cares? But what you always understand is that skill that you gain while you are working on, say, that social media campaign for your club or your church, or I was very active in church, and I realized that some of my friends that I look back now, the things that they are doing currently today are based off on their activities that they were engaged in while they were on campus fellowship. So like someone is working in a lights or engineering, sound and engineering company because he was managing that on campus. So these are like things that you need to put yourself out there. Honestly, you really can't get a job if you are just going to not put yourself out there in whatever capacity and opportunity that is available for you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ruth. Bolu from EduBridge, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you. Thank you, Bolu, from EduBridge too.
Oliver, I will come back to you. We have a question in the chat box from Joy Amuche. So she has two questions. The first question is, as a final year student, I sometimes worry that university hasn't fully prepared me for the workspace. So what are the biggest adjustments new graduates should expect in their first year after graduation? So Ruth, would you like to take it one after the other, or I should call them out, all out?
Let me take this first one, and I'll try to be very brief. Joy, I share the same sentiments with you when I was in my final year as well. And I think it's usually the fear of a lot of final year students. One thing I'll ask you is, what are you currently doing now to make sure that you are prepared for the work environment? Attending this event is a good step, to be fair. Another thing is you have to, okay, let me go back. When I was in final year, I also had the same fears. And so one of the things I did was I attended a leadership event, and that sort of opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. So maybe attend the workplace program ahead of time to prepare you. I don't have context as to what you studied, where you're studying and stuff like that. But I believe that once you begin to assess the skills that are required for your environment, beyond there's the technical skill that is required for your industry. And EduBridge covers finance, technical skills. So if you're interested in finance, attend an EduBridge event and they will prepare you, or even consulting. EduBridge covers that as well. So attend something like that, and you'll be well prepared for the environment. But don't just, it's a good thing you're asking the question now, but don't let it end at the questions. Also, identify organizations, events, and also maybe like internship opportunities that you can take on at this point to prepare you for the real work environment.
Okay, thank you, Ruth. Our second question is, if we keep getting rejected for internships, what then can we do differently? And lastly, many of us are about to graduate, but we feel like we don't have enough practical skills. How do we identify the skills we are missing, and where should we start? I think for where should we start, to answer the question, come to EduBridge Academy. But yeah, those are our questions.
Honestly, identifying your gap is quite easy, but it requires you to put the work. The first thing is ChatGPT. In this age and time, putting a prompt, dear ChatGPT, what do I need to do to be able to get this. I'm sure it will give you like tons of things of what you need to do on how you can prepare yourself for your specific industry. And like I had mentioned, identify a workplace environment that can help you with it as well. And the reason why I'm sounding a little bit vague because I don't have context as to what industry you've worked in or you're working in or what you're studying in school. So it's harder for me to say, go get the skill, go get that skill. But when you talk to people that are in those industries, they'll be able to, yes, talk to people in industries, find a mentor in the industry that you're interested in working in, and you'll be able to find real skills. The way to identify real skills that you need. And beyond beyond skills as well, you need to start working on your social skills, your interpersonal relationships. Those are the they call it soft skills. So those are the things that you need to start also working on if you haven't started on it.
Okay, so Joy, I really hope that clarifies your question. So Oliver, are you there? Let's have you.
Okay, thank you very much, Rose. I really enjoyed this session. So, just a brief introduction. I am Oliver Kamavi, a final year accounting student at the University of Lagos. Also, I have the Advanced Financial Model accreditation, and I have also interned remotely at Astral Investment Research. So, why I did that brief introduction is to let you know about the path I'm going through. So, I'm interested in becoming an investment banker after our graduation. So I have connected with people, quite a number of people on LinkedIn. Some responded, some didn't respond. So I'm going to give a two scenario. The first scenario is I connected to a lady in a bank, so I don't want to mention the bank, and that was 2023, and they already did their internship. I think during July, I messaged her and she promised to recommend me, and she recommended me at that period. My department didn't allow me to go for internship because we're in session. And this year I also connected her, and I think maybe because of that past experience, I told her that my school is session. They didn't consider my application this year as well. Secondly, I connected with a professional, a finance professional, who was a post in investment research in one of the finance company also. And he told me that, okay, when you are done, just let me know. So that was, I think, a year ago. And now I'm in my final stage of getting my BSc degree. Then I messaged him again, okay, sir, I'm in my final stage. I've done a couple of things. I listed them out. And he just viewed it, he didn't reply. So what do you think I can do moving forward?
Okay. Thanks for providing the context. First thing I must say is this. Everybody's busy with their lives and they might not be thinking, and it might sound a little bit, my response here might sound a little bit not what you're looking for, but people are busy with life, so they might not be able to think of what another person might need at that point in time. Now, having said that, I would say that your strategy, whilst good, can be improved. So, and what I mean is this: it's a good thing that you're reaching out to people on LinkedIn, but I understand that applying Nigerian job environments is not, at least for the entry level roles, are not heavily people dependent. They're not referral dependent, let me put it that way. So if you are interested in working in certain industry, in investment banking, for instance, you need to ensure that you are doing a lot of volume application with reaching out, looking at, like, emailing the HR of the different investment banks that are in Nigeria. But it still boils down to the fact that, are you sure? And this is it's not an indictment on yourself, but have you also done your own assessment of your resume, of your skill sets? Have you been able to present yourself better and all? And if you've done all of those, then you can then put in the pressure on on yourself to expand the volume of applications that you do. So yes, you've reached out to 2 people, but there are like 100 professionals in the investment banking space in Nigeria that might be in entry level or in certain roles. Sometimes you might not even reach out to them to say, hey, I'm looking for a job. So they might just be like, hey, I like what you're doing. I see your resume. I see your profile on LinkedIn. I like your career progression. I'm interested in this sector, in this space. Are you able to chat with me to, give me feedback on how I can improve my application or better position myself to be able to get a job in this role? So, and like I said, it's not just one person. Like, do a lot of volume application, because a lot of people will not respond to you. And that one person that responds to you, once they see that you are well prepared, they're able to have conversations with you. People want someone that is coming to the game, not with the mindset of I need this person to help me get a job, but with the mindset of, oh, I can do this. I don't need you to get a job. I don't need you to be able to get a job into this industry, but I am confident that if I do work with you, you will not regret it. So there has to be a shift in your mentality. That's what I'm trying to say. A little shift in your mentality here. I hope that answers your question, Oliver.
Oliver, does that answer your question? Okay. I think Josephine has a question for you, Ruth. Josephine, if you can speak, kindly go ahead, please.
Okay, good morning, ma'am. Okay, my question is, I found out that most volunteering job requires qualification, even for starters. And the question is, what advice can you give to someone who is still trying to gain experience?
What kind of volunteer job requires qualification? I'm surprised, actually, as you are surprised to hear that, to be fair. Because it's supposed to be volunteer, so I'm surprised. But what I would advise you is find another volunteer job that doesn't require qualification, or if it does require, if you are bent on taking the ones that require qualification, you might want to play the people game to it. So reach out to the people that are recruiting for the volunteer role, and have conversations with them. Let them know, I don't have a qualification for this, but I can bring this to the table. I have this value to add for this, and I'm excited to work with your team. Sort of beef them up, as it were. Let them know, I'm excited to work with your team. I have these skills. I've not done this before elsewhere, but I know that I'm able to put in 101% into this role, to be able to give you the value that you want, and then deliver on your word. Basically, tell them you're going to do it, and then deliver on your word.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Josephine. Ademide Flower.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Flower, are you there?
Thank you for the session. Okay, so my question is, how can you strategically position yourself for opportunities abroad? I know that you mentioned that for the Nigerian job markets, you mentioned volunteering, networking with people and all, but are there maybe platforms to join, or how can you actually, for entry-level roles in finance, investment banking, how can you get opportunities abroad also? Yes, that's my question.
Good question. So entry-level roles in finance, I know that some of these banks back in the day, I don't know if it's still the same, but I know like Bank of America, for instance, used to come to Nigeria to recruit they have like this global program for students. That's one way. at least from a Nigerian perspective, that's one way if you want to do finance role in investment banks. But also there are like some of these websites, Fiverr, Upwork, blah, blah, blah. Those guys are usually more foreign jobs as well. And some of them have entry roles as well to do it. And sometimes good old LinkedIn also helps you, give you access to some of those roles.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Flower. Collins Atime, you have a question for Ruth? Collins, are you there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here. Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the presentation. So it's a whole lot of value within a short time. Thank you so much. So my question is pretty straightforward. Is in all of this, what's the place of those with low grades? I mean, those who left school with not so good grades. How do they actually bridge the gap and still stand out and stay competitive?
That's a very good question, and thank you for asking that question. Okay, so real advice is this: that you have a low grade does not mean you're cut off from the market. That's a honest truth. I've seen a lot of people with low grades still succeed, even way above people with high grades, as it were. So that's the foundation that everyone has to understand. But then it means you might have to do a little bit more work, and it could be more work in networking. It could be more work in getting an additional certification, right? So so you have like certification, you have skills, you have network. You have to do all of those to be able to position yourself. And I give an example. I have a friend, very amazing guy. I love him. He had a terrible grade from school, but right now he's managing one of the top companies in Africa. He's managing the marketing team from one of the top companies in Africa. And how did he get there? He built a solid network. He has the best network I've ever seen. He has no qualms reaching out to someone and saying, hi, I love what you're doing. I would like to grab coffee with you. I would like to grab tea with you at your convenience. And then he's there. He's having those conversations. So he's like amazing when it comes to building very amazing network. But another thing I realize is that he's also on top of his work. He's on top of his industry, trying to understand what's the new skill, what's the stuff, what else, how is AI impacting my industry? He's creating articles, he's doing all of these things, right? He's putting in the work, basically. He's not just relaxing on his certificates to get him the job. So that's his own strategy he has been able to use to succeed in this industry. Some others, I know another person that is also like building out his own. He took on a lot more certification, took on a lot more program, went to some schools as well. So like there are different pathways that you can use. But one thing is that whoever has a low grade must understand that I'm going to work hard, and I'm not going to give up because I know I can do this. So it's more like confidence in yourself and knowing that your grade does not determine your future outlook, as it were. You just know that, and also know that I'm going to put in the work to get the result that I want. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Collins. Winner, you have a question for Ruth?
Yes, good morning. I wanted to ask a question. I've been here for some time, and most of the questions about banking, finance, and economics. So I wanted to ask those in health sector, like someone in nutrition and dietetics, public health, physiotherapy, what can we do differently? How do we stand out? That's the question.
I think everybody have to organize another session for people in healthcare because my skill is limited to finance. and all finance and marketing, but still at the same time, I think like the overall soft skills conversation that I have said applies regardless of the industry that you are in. So and how you position yourself as well applies regardless of the industry that you're in. I think that's what you can take out of this conversation. But when EduBridge is more when they've decided, they can organize a finance session and invite you to it as well. That's for you, Praise.
Okay, Winner, you can also reach out to, we have people like health professionals too on LinkedIn that talk more about their story. So basically, most of the soft skills that she mentioned out here, you can also apply it, but your target audience will be different. So you won't be targeting like people in finance space, you'll be targeting people in healthcare space and like basically your field. Do you understand?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So we are coming to the end of the webinar today. I would like to sincerely appreciate our speaker, Ruth. Let's all, virtual applause, please. Let's all appreciate Ruth. Let's thank her for taking our time, sharing our experiences and our story, and also making us laugh. I mean, it's weekend, but then I want to appreciate each and every single one of you also for coming out here. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for spending your time with us. Thank you for promoting the webinar. You guys, the registration was crazy. Thank you so much for promoting the webinar. So if you have any further questions for Ruth, if you just like her face, if you like her voice, or you just want to like reach out, you can always reach out to her on LinkedIn. I dropped our profile in the chat box. Right, so thank you very much once again from the entire team at EduBridge Academy. And Ruth, thank you so much. So,
Thank you, everyone.
yes, let's enjoy our weekend and take care and goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.
Bye.
You are on LinkedIn now. Check www.edubridge